Today we want to take a look back in history, but a bit further than what we usually do. To be exact, 2000 years ago, to the Roman Empire. The Romans understood very well that entertainment for their people is not just very popular, it also keeps people busy and distracts them from politics. But what many today don't know, the most popular sport in the Roman Empire were not the gladiator fights, but the chariot races. Everywhere in the Roman Empire we can find racetracks and many can still be seen today. So how did such a racetrack look like? It was anti-clockwise oval racing. Does that sound familiar? On one end were start boxes. At smaller tracks these were wooden boxes, at bigger tracks large pretty stone buildings with VIP lounges above them. The gates were opened by a mechanism which made sure that every gate opens at the same time. After a long straight followed a 180-degree turn and a back straight. In the middle was a wall to separate both sides. At many tracks this middle wall was not parallel to squeeze chariots towards the 180-degree corners, so crashes were more likely and it was more entertaining for the huge crowd. But the middle wall had more functions. It was also indicating the number of laps in various ways, which could be different from track to track, similar to screens at the track today. At the same time, the middle wall shouldn't be too high so spectators could still see the whole track. Also, there were openings, today we would say for track marshals, to drag crashed chariots, drivers and horses off the track. The ground was sand, so it's not too hard for the horses. The largest track was the Circus Maximus in Rome. The overall length of this racetrack for 250,000 spectators was 600 meters. One lap, however, was, depending on the line, around 850 meters. So the total distance for 7 laps was around 6 kilometers. To host 22 races on one day, a race could only last for 8 to 9 minutes, which means the average speed was around 40 kilometers per hour. On the straights, however, the chariots could reach up to 70 kilometers per hour. So that means, for the design of the chariot, fast acceleration, fast braking, and high cornering speeds were important. So lightweight design was the key to success. And that brings us to the chariot itself. It was a simple but highly optimized design. It only consisted of 2 U-shaped wooden profiles with some lever between to build a platform for the driver. To be as fast as possible, the horses should be able to move as freely as possible. So these race chariots only had a single shaft in the middle, connecting the 2 middle horses with the chariot. The axle position was very important because the driver could take load off the horses by standing further back and lifting the shaft. Horses were not connected to the chariot on the outside, so they could move more freely and it was harder for the driver to keep them aligned. And the 2 outside horses were only connected to the other ones at the head, so they didn't really pull the chariot. They were there for the show and to make everything harder to control for the driver. Similar like today where you have overpowered race cars. The track width was also important to allow high cornering speeds. The difficulty for the driver was to hold the balance at these speeds. He was just standing on the platform, not leaning against anything. The second U-shaped profile acted as a guardrail to catch the driver when he was falling, but it was too low to lean against. Because it was the most popular sport in the whole empire for hundreds of years, specialists were forming in every area. The best and most popular racehorses came from North Africa. There were specialist chariot builders and race teams were created. These race teams were finding new talents, were running intensive training programs for their drivers, were building chariots, finding sponsors, and sometimes even organizing race events. If they were successful, they could buy better horses, employ better engineers for better chariots, and so on. So it was a huge business. These race teams were traveling from track to track for the next race event, and they had a huge fan base. Different teams had different colors, and underneath the grandstand in the Circus Maximus in Rome was even a large shopping mall where teams sold their merchandise, as we would call it today. So teams had fans throughout the whole empire. There were star drivers that people supported, and fans even knew the names of their racehorses. People even put the names of their favorite drivers on their gravestone, and we find mosaics of famous drivers in the whole Roman Empire. Later on, there were 4 large race teams: the red one, the green one, blue, and white. They stand for the 4 seasons. Some fans were so enthusiastic they would start a fight with rival teams and fans. The races were a big spectacle which started with a driver parade and lots of other entertainment for the crowd, like a lottery where they would throw wooden balls into the crowd and you could win things from clothes to even a house. Also, the races were a good opportunity for the people to see their leaders in person and sometimes even to start a discussion about current policies. Nevertheless, these chariot races were violent and had almost no rules on the track. Important was to finish first and to eliminate the competitors. Huge accidents were normal and what the crowd wanted to see. The drivers were mostly slaves. For them, it was an opportunity to become a free man if they were successful, so they had nothing to lose and it was the only way for them. In terms of setup, since it was anti-clockwise racing, the right horse had to run a longer way, so the stronger horses were on the right-hand side and the weaker ones on the left. Drivers had to manage the energy of their horses because they couldn't run at maximum speed for the whole duration of the race. Also, that sounds familiar to today's hybrid racing. If you stayed close to the middle wall, you had the shortest distance, but you also had maximum braking and acceleration. So drivers had to be smart about their strategy and when to attack. For one race win, the prize could be as high as 15 times the annual salary of a normal person. So good drivers could earn millions for their team. So it looks like many aspects of racing we know today were already there 2000 years ago, and race car engineering was a huge topic back then as well. So I hope you liked this little look back, and if you did, please consider to become a B-Sport Club member for more videos like this. See you at the next one.